So it's always important to look at gender from the broader perspective of diversity. So Nigeria has done a lot in terms of making sure that there's diversity across local and international content, but not a lot of effort has been made into looking at gender. And so in 2020, we set up an NGO called Women in Energy Network, specifically to highlight and amplify these issues, to help the industry understand that there are very many competent women and there's a big gap in leadership positions as well as technical. And for me, I think a lot of women come in, into the industry, but along the way, there's something we call the missing middle. They leave to go and have children, or they can't be posted around because, in the industry, you have to cross discipline, cross terrain for you to really get the depth of experience that you need to grow and get to the top of an organization. And because women, sometimes find it difficult to navigate that middle when they are either going through child bearing, or they get married, or they go to menopause, or they're not really mobile. And so WIN came about to enable women have visibility of opportunities and for the industry to understand the skills that there are, so that even when they leave, they can come back. But also to put policies in place that makes it such that they don't quite have to leave. So I think those are the main things that are required. Those policies that make the organization gender friendly, but also entry access points, even when they leave, for them to be able to come back. So for example, somebody like me, I used to work for Shell. And when my husband got transferred to Ghana, Shell wasn't able to accommodate a transfer for me. So I left. But I was able to now come back many years later as an entrepreneur into the industry. So, we kind of need to see the industry as a broad spectrum of opportunities, either in career, as consultants, in technical service provision perspective, or as board members, as different avenues and renewable power. So we're just sort of trying to build that platform to say this energy industry is varied, is wide, and there are many segments of the value chain where people can play.
So speaking about the value chain, how has local content development influenced foreign investment in Nigeria's oil and gas sector?
So what local content is trying to do is to encourage people to come and invest. So even if you are an original equipment manufacturer or a big multinational somewhere, come and invest in Nigeria. The issue, though, is the pipeline of opportunities, the projects, because people would want to come and invest when they can see a pipeline of large scale projects. There hasn't been that many. So I think whilst the local content is growing, is sort of growing slowly, but I think when there's more project opportunities, people are able to take FID on some of these large scale projects, either in the gas or in the renewable or the oil and gas space, then we'll certainly see a better deepening of foreign investors coming to take position. So, for example, I was partnered with a nuts and bolt company that is out of Korea. And just before COVID, they were quite keen to invest. They wanted to set up a factory. But, they couldn't really see any tangible opportunity or a strong pipeline.
So it's more like there is no enabling environment for these investments.
I think it's beyond the enabling environment. Of course, enabling environment has its own issues, so they need to be able to sort of have quick access to permits on the regulatory side, have access to land, have access to all the things that they need. But I think the main thing is that there needs to be projects. Once there's projects, and because capital is shy. It doesn't want to go anywhere where it won't be returned because it's private sector. So if the opportunities are there, investments will come in.
So I know that you started off the Nigerian Oil and Gas Opportunity Fair. And I wanted to ask, Nigerian Content Intervention Fund, how is funding coming in? What are the challenges that you're encountering in that sphere? And what policies are being put in place to ensure that there is adequate monitoring and, all of those measures put in place to ensure that there's no issues?
So I didn't start the Nigeria Oil and Gas Opportunity Fair. It was started by NCDNB as a platform to create visibility for the opportunities that exist. But one of my companies was the one that organized the last one. And I think in that fair, there were quite a lot of opportunities in the pipeline that were showcased. My personal experience, because I have another company that is has tried to assess the funding for the NCCF fund. And the biggest challenge there that I saw is it takes a long time to get the paperwork through. And then you need to have a bank guarantee. And that bank guarantee is quite difficult because a lot of the banks don't want to provide a bank guarantee for monies that is not with them. So they always say that there's a structural issue, that they don't earn any money from that fund. They are not the one processing it. Why should they take the risk? So, I think, there's something there that perhaps, the NCDMB is, I know they've looked at it. And specifically for women, they then set up a different fund at the Nexim Bank that is supposed to be easier for people to access. I'm not sure, how that's going, but, it's there for women who do have, but it's tied to having a contract. Okay. So you must have a contract before you can access it. So I know a lot of women have said to me that, how can you get a contract when you don't have track record? How can you have track record when you don't have opportunities? So it's a bit of a catch-22 there, but I think there still needs to be some intentionality around supporting women-owned businesses in the oil and gas industry.